Investigators say she was murdered by a maintenance man here at the apartment.
Miya had been missing since Friday of last week, and loved ones have been gathering every day in both South and Central Florida to pray for her safe return.
You have sent obsessive texts to Miya. I've all seen the text. You talked about giving her your life savings. You cash out her money, and you claim that you weren't in touch.
Who told her gave her life savings?
Nobody beating you up.
If I'm guilty,
but you put yourself in the middle right here. You brought yourself over here.
Because we're concerned.
I feel like I failed my cousin. I don't know how we're gonna get through this.
I look at it as like a complete and utter nightmare that you don't get out of. People say, you know, it may get easier, and I think it's getting harder.
Hi guys, welcome back to KW Lawholic. If you're new, thank you for joining us. If you're not, thank you for always returning. Let's jump straight into the case. Today's case is a very tragic one. It is about Miya Mercano, who was 19 years old. Her parents were Marlon Mercano and her mother was Yama Scabrero. She lived in Orlando, Florida, where she attended Valencia College as a sophomore in the Central Florida area. While in college, she did pursue a career in nursing, but then she eventually changed it over to sports medicine so that she could help people better, and it just connected more to her. Miya was like any other 19-year-old. She loved dancing and having fun, and she loved celebrating her Caribbean culture. Miya's family said that she was a super lovable person who always had a smile on her face, could put smiles on others' faces, and she always put others' feelings first. They said she had a special trait to be able to connect and make connections with all of her family and friends, especially her cousins. On September 24th, 2021, Miya was getting off of work at the Arden Villas apartment complex, where she also lived at 5 o'clock. That day, after she got off work, she was going to head straight home because she had to catch a flight to South Florida. Miya had arrived home at 5:06 p.m., but she never caught her flight. Because she missed her flight, her parents did call her over and over again, and they found that she was unreachable. Concerned because Miya never made her flight to Fort Lauderdale, her mother Yama decided to contact the Orange County Sheriff's Department and asked if they could do a wellness check on her daughter. And when the deputy arrived at her home for the wellness check, he did see that things in her room were out of order. But from that, not much was done. The next day, however, on September 25th, Miya's father Marlon and some of her other family members drove up from Fort Lauderdale and went to her apartment. And while they were there, they noticed things that were very concerning that could have gave detail about what happened to Miya or why she disappeared. Some of the things her family noticed was that Miya had a box cutter in her room, there was broken jewelry on the floor, bloodstains on her bedroom pillow, and just the overall condition of her room and bed wasn't right. At 3:52 a.m., her father called the sheriff's department back and told them they needed to get over to Miya's apartment immediately. And not too long after that, around 4 a.m. that same morning, a man named Armando Manuel Caballero, who's 27 years old and also worked at the Arden Villas apartment complex with Miya, was saw sitting outside of her apartment in his vehicle. He did eventually step out of his car to talk to the deputies on site. And when he spoke to them, he said that he was just alerted from a coworker that Miya was missing, and he was there to try to help them figure out what had happened to her.
No one's saying that. It takes
She's not here to defend herself right now, so
obviously
we gotta
she's
talk to
missing.
you.
So we're talking to you, who've been going back and forth on
understand
text.
that. That is your family.
Right.
But until we figure out what's going on, just don't beat me up.
Nobody's beating you
If I'm
up.
guilty,
But
why would I
you put
come
yourself in the middle right here. You brought yourself over here.
Because we're concerned.
You're concerned. Why weren't you concerned hours ago?
I just found out.
All right, cool, no problem.
Through a little bit more questioning initially, he did tell the deputies that he did want to date Miya romantically, but that she had rejected him, but it was okay because they just decided to stay friends. However, not too long after he was there, Armando Caballero approached Miya's family. And when he did, an argument ensued. Miya's father, Marlon, felt that Caballero was hiding something, especially since he had injuries to his hand and his face. The family also believed that they had saw a blanket in his car that belonged to Miya. While the deputy was unable to make a direct distinction between if the blanket was related to the case, he didn't do any further questioning of Caballero about why that could be, or even why he was injured in the first place. Because he didn't question Caballero of the allegations that the family had, the deputy then told everyone to clear the scene, and he told Miya's family that if anything was to change, to call the sheriff's office and let them know. And he asked for a proper investigation and an immediate response, because at this point of time, they felt like not a lot was being done. Not too long after that, only a couple days later, Armando Caballero was found dead by suicide on September 27th, 2021. This happened concurrently while a deeper investigation into Mia's disappearance was happening. But sadly, on October 2nd, 2021, the Orange County Sheriff's Office did locate Mia's body in a wooded area behind the Timberscan Apartments right off of Texas Avenue. The Orange County Sheriff John Mina said that Miya was found with jeans, a robe, and a bra, and that her purse was not too far from her body and it contained the shirt she had worn that day. Dr. Joshua Stephanie, medical examiner in the Orlando 9th District, reported that Mia's body was nearly skeletonized and in advanced stages of decomposition. Dr. Stephanie, the medical examiner, said that Miya had clearly went through some type of assault. They also had on October 4th, Stewart Reference Lab conduct a toxicology report on Miya. Miya tested negative for all types of substances and drugs. They were able to kick that out and brush that to the side, that nothing of that nature had anything to do with her disappearance or death. It was concluded that Miya died from homicide by undetermined means, meaning one manner of death is no more compelling than another manner of death. I do know that it was of homicidal nature, being the reason of how she died. Now, if we backtrack, on September 26, 2021, they did interview two people. One of those people was Mia's coworker, who she did speak to frequently and regularly. In both of those interviews, they both shared that Armando Caballero had a romantic interest in Miya, but she did not have one back, and she let it be known in a respectful manner. In both of those interviews, they both mentioned an instance of when Armando Caballero had sent Miya $600 on Cash App, and she tried to refund the money, but every time she did, he would just send it right back to her.
As of right now, you have sent obsessive texts to Miya. We have all seen the text. You talked about giving her your life savings. You cash out her money, and you claim that you weren't in touch.
Who told her gave
it's
her
on
life
text.
savings? I never
As a
said
matter of
that.
fact, we're going to get a police report to pull your phone records if that's the case.
What do we know so far? Miya Marcano. She's 19 years old. She's a college student. She's getting off work and she's supposed to catch a flight back home to see her family, but she never makes it. The police are acting weird about it. They're not really making it a priority, but her family forces them to. There's a guy who likes her, who's there the night her family arrives. He's saying he wants to help, but the family is like, no, something is off, something is wrong. You need to check into it. A couple days later, he kills himself. A few more days after that, they eventually find Mia's body. So what can the police do now? They decide to open up a much deeper investigation. The Orange County Deputy and Sheriff's offices, they were able to uncover detailed proof and evidence and really write out exactly what happened to Miya that night. They say that Caballero had entered the Ardenvilla Apartments and used his key fob, a maintenance master key fob, at 4:34 p.m. to enter Mia's apartment. The reason being, he knew that she got off work at 4 and was going to go directly home. The documents in the report say that Miya activated her key fob at 5:06 p.m. That is when she opened up her door, and they conclude that during that time, that is when Caballero attacked Miya and some type of struggle had to happen. By 5:50 p.m., that is the time that the detectives believe that Armando Caballero had already killed Miya and transported her body to the trunk of his car. It was also documented in the reports that Caballero had used some type of shelf and box to push under Mia's door to block the entry and exit from her room. It was documented that Caballero was seen leaving the area at 5:52 p.m. Apparently, he stayed at home for about 30 minutes or even less before eventually returning to the Ardenvilla apartment complexes around 7 p.m. And listen to this, guys. When he arrived back at 7 p.m., he called in a fake maintenance request from a Google number that he created for an unrelated apartment to have a valid reason of why he was back at the complex. When he's off of work, he's not scheduled, he has no reason for being there. There is where he decided to abandon Mia's body behind the complex in a very deeply and heavily wooded area that led to a lake. He had bound Mia's neck, arms, and legs with the black tape. And that black tape, they say, is similar to the one he would normally use for maintenance work when he was on the job. They had found Mia's body, but her killer committed suicide. He is dead. And because he did commit suicide, they end up closing the case. And they have no further prosecutions to do. Nothing else is pending because he did it alone and they currently can't give him justice. But there were some positive things that did happen after it. Because of her family, the state of Florida did unanimously decide to create a new bill. And the goal of this bill was to aim and promote the safety of tenants in apartments. So Miya Marcano ended up getting a bill named after her because of the tragic thing that had to happen. That bill is used to protect others so they won't have to have the same fate as Miya. And this bill was successful. It was approved by the House and it is active. Her family had worked so hard, starting from nothing, of building up policies that can help protect people from any type of injustice in their living quarters. They wanted to ensure people that maintenance and reception don't just have free access to anyone's apartment and violating their privacy. Her family also decided to file a wrongful death suit against the Orange County, the police department, apartment complex, and the two main deputies that were on Mia's case. Her family alleged that the deputies failed to close off the crime scene and establish it as something real to protect all of the evidence that could be there. When it comes to the apartment complex, they're suing because they said that Miya told her managers of Caballero's advances and romantic wants of her, and they didn't do anything about it. They didn't protect her. They didn't take it seriously. They didn't listen that this could actually be unwanted and harassment. They also are suing them for having broken and failed security cameras all over the building. None of the cameras were working, and that could have been major in figuring out more quickly who was leaving her apartment, who went into an apartment, the outside of the building, all types of things of that nature. They weren't able to see because the cameras were not operating. It just feels like time and time again, whenever women are missing, it's never taken seriously. Another thing is that I hate, without a doubt, how apartment complexes, owners and managers, they love to think just because they own it and that a person is renting an apartment, they have no privacy, that they can just come into their apartment whenever. And maintenance can have master keys to all of the units. You don't need to have immediate access to your tenants. That's not about with living life, and if they're renting it, it's theirs for the time that they are renting it. And as long as they're taking care of the property they're using, there's no concern for you to enter. I feel like if they would have taken her case as a priority, if they would have sat there and listened to Mia's family, they probably could have caught him before he decided to take a very easy way out and kill himself. They could have caught him the day he was speaking directly to deputies and to her family. I can't imagine how her family feels knowing they were speaking right there to their loved one's killer and they didn't even know it. All they knew was that something was off. They didn't know he was the one who did it. And the deputies not investigating anything, asking him about his injuries, asking him about the blanket in the car, not asking to even search it, using the probable cause of this is a situation. He's randomly sitting outside of her home. All those things are showing signs of you know a little bit too much or you're being very weird about this situation and we need to look deeper into it. Some of her relatives said that Miya was the most charming person ever. And her mother Yama said this: Miya always said she would change the world. We want to ensure her legacy lives on. From that, her family did start the Miya Marcano Foundation. And with that, they use it to promote and help get back and promote the safety of missing women, missing young girls and children, so that we can take it seriously to find them and make sure they're brought back home safely. So thank you guys for listening to this case. Please drop your comments down below. Share your thoughts and your opinions on this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.